What's up, otakus? It's Friday night, the week of Christmas, and I hope everybody had a fantastic holiday. It's the day after Christmas, and yeah, we're here for another session of Otaku Weekly. And so there's a lot of stuff to kind of digest. I figure, this is my last show of the year. Well, no, let me walk that back. I am doing uh, a new kind of corner called Otaku Reads His Comics, and the past week, uh, I really put out maybe like 4 videos where I'm just reading books, and it's really fun. I'm having a lot of fun with that, and I don't do a lot of planning with it, but I just pull out a book that I really want to read, right? That I've been meaning to read and wanting to read. And I try to find a digital copy of it, like downloaded or something. Um, and then I come on air and read it with you. So I've already done a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of like pretty much downloaded a lot of Superman comics, a lot of action comics in my collection. Um, Downloaded a good portion of like Supergirl books just for my own pleasure, just to read, as well as, you know, Lois Lane books, uh, Superman Volume 2 books. So I'm kind of, and I just downloaded the entire Death and Return of Superman series. So at some point, we'll get to that, um, and we'll read that sequentially. That's a big lift. So I imagine I'll do that in the summer. We'll probably get into that in the summertime, or maybe closer to um, right around when the books were coming out. So I'll have to check the actual start of that, but we'll kind of time it to where it's I have a lot of bandwidth, and I can maybe do multiple books or just spend all night reading a chunk of the books. But for now, I'm going to try to keep it one book, one video, or maybe like if it's one of those situations where it's like to be continued and it's a uh, you know, two-parter, you can read both books. But you want to let you know that that's something I'm doing, and we'll do more of that. So I'll probably do a Otaku Reads His Comics this Sunday night, or tomorrow night, depending on how I'm feeling, and hopefully one. I don't know. We'll see how many we do before the year's out. Um, and then next week's Friday show will be our first Otaku Weekly of 2026 in the new year. So it should be fun. All right. Well, I came on with what I thought was going to be my last haul video of the year 2026. Um, and it was just like, I think we picked up 2 books at that time, and or no, one book. It might have been one book. Check. Um, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be the last haul of the year. We won't pick up anything else. Yeah, it was 2 books. It was first appearance of Mandalorian and Grogu, and the first Joker, or sorry, Joker, the 80th anniversary, #1. In fact, I think that's what I'm pretty sure I put out a video for that. Let me just. Sometimes I like plan to put videos out, and I think I do it, but then that's not the case. I'm just checking my channel here real quick. Just bear with me. Um, So yes, I did a couple of reads his last comics, Green Lantern Challenge. I'm thinking I did. No, maybe I didn't show off my last haul. Um, yeah, no, I didn't show those books off. So that's something I can, I guess, prepare. I didn't prepare the books. No, but I remember covering it at some point. In which video did I do that? Oh, last haul. Here we go. Last haul of 2026. So I did do that like 2 weeks ago. It looks like I put that out. And I'm just seeing if yeah. Okay, so I did put out the video and it was 3 books and no, I only did it for 2 books. Didn't put the third book out there. Okay, well, that's interesting. So I guess I have 3 books that I picked up for about $5. We'll just put it that way. It's like I only did partial. I showed off 2 books, and I think I have a third. Here, just let me flip it real quick. I hear this. Okay, so we'll do 3 books. Um, yeah, let's get to our haul first. In fact, let me just I think I paid $2. Yeah, so we basically picked up 3 books for $5, and this is the last haul of the year. Um, and these are half price book pickups, and the I am going to half price books probably tomorrow. And right now they've got a 20% off sale off everything in the store. So we may have one more haul tomorrow that we show. Because they're refreshing the books quite often these days. And I don't know who goes in there and just purchases books. I know Dave is there, friend Dave. He's in there picking up books all the time. But there's actually a lot of people that pick up books from half price books bins, and they're all doing the same thing I'm doing or we're doing is um, looking for those like high valued books kind of mispriced. But and they're there, they're definitely there. I've kind of showed some of them off recently. So yeah, tomorrow we'll see, get the 20% off, post Christmas discount, and we'll just see what we pick up. Not promising anything, but that may be the actually true last haul of 2025. But for now, we're going to assume this is the last haul of 2025. And again, we got 3 books for $5. So let's get into that. Let me just turn on my camera here. Okay. So starting us off here, we got this was one I kind of like. The only reason I picked it up was I figured, with the Mandalorian coming out, it's it's titled The Mandalorian and Grogu. So this is the first appearance, and it's a variant cover. So it has probably a limited print count in terms of its Although, what does that mean these days? Basically, these variant covers have essentially, you know, it's not like a ratio variant or anything. This is essentially as prevalent as some of the other books. But yeah, this came out right around, the when the Mandalorian was running, so it's a couple years old. And yeah, this was a big book when it first launched because it was the first appearance of them in comic books together. Now, Grogu appears kind of on covers and stuff prior to this. And I think there's a Mandalorian first appearance on a cover as well. But, um, you know, those maybe precede this by like a month or so. So all these like references to the Mandalorian, Grogu, they all came around while the show was, kind of running. And we're talking about the Mandalorian season 1, right, where we get introduced to both these characters. But this is the one I think that was getting um, noticed in the comic book community, and it had kind of spiked a little bit. Um, and now it kind of has settled on a $15 kind of price tag for a book. And who knows? I think this, depending on how well the movie does, and in all indications, it looks like it's going to just be massively successful and popular because, they'll just be marketing the heck out of Grogu. So all the kids are going to want to see it. And it's just going to be like a PG kind of space adventure type movie, kind of typical for what Star Wars is known for. And yeah, you'll probably have more of the Mandalore, you know, backstory and characters coming to the fore, the history and the characters coming to the fore. So that's always a good thing, right? And mind you, this is uh, takes place uh, after the fall of the Empire, and it really is an opportunity to create, kind of make up for the mistakes of J.J. Abrams and his handling of the Disney, what was the first project of the Disney enterprise, right? This gives us at least a little time cushion between the events of the last trilogy and um, the trilogy that we grew up, us older adults. I put myself in the older adult category, but us, Gen Xers grew up loving. So it's just a little cushion there in between those two uh, timelines, and it really provides an opportunity for Disney to reset and maybe bring more fans into the fold of Star Wars because, again, that last trilogy just failed in its mission to preserve the legacy of Star Wars. In fact, I think Star Wars as a whole, um, especially with all of the other kind of content out there for people the younger kids to really enjoy and latch on to, it's sort of losing its generational relevance now. And this is an opportunity to kind of remind people, hey, Star Wars is still a compelling franchise. So we'll see. A lot is riding on this comic book. Well, I shouldn't say the comic book, but the movie Mandalorian and Grogu. So again, pick this up for half a cover. So essentially $2. And yeah, I figure, this book, if it has legs, because the movie's successful and we get, like we get years of Mandalorian Grogu type adventures, then this is really the floor uh, for where the book will be, and nothing but nothing but kind of speculation, uh, nothing but you know altitude for this book to climb in terms of uh, the speculation. All right, that's our first book. Our second book, we should kind of use this book as our second book. So we picked up. This is actually a book that I didn't really know about because as you know, I pick up a lot of Jim Lee books, and I kind of forget what the Jim Lee count is at right now. Let me just check here real quick before we go on. Let me see here. It's probably in this one here. I'm opening up a spreadsheet so I can see my current Jim Lee collection count. And mind you, we were kind of like, okay, we're going to get to 400 and we're going to just kind of be content with 400 Jim Lee books. Figure that's a good size for the collection, right? Well, we're currently at 410 books. So this is I believe this is our 410th book. If I'm not mistaken. No. Wait a minute. Did I add this one? No, I didn't. Okay, so we're at 411 books. Just gonna. Looks like I didn't add this to my recent pickup count. No, I did add it. Okay, so we are at 410. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is on my 410th Jim Lee book pickup. We have 410. And I'm not talking like multiples. We're just talking about like single issues where he's either contributed to the story, artwork, both, or cover, whatever it is. Something where Jim Lee is part of the book, right? It could even be an interview book or like a tribute edition. Anything that has Jim Lee attached to the collectible or book, that's what applies. Now, this is an interesting book because I love this Batman Superman. I don't like the title. I think it should be Superman Batman, but they're just going in alphabetical order, I guess. But this is Batman Superman, World's Finest. It's the Mark Waid, Dan Mora run. It's the #1 issue, which we have already with the Dan Mora cover. But this is the Jim Lee variant. And as you can see, beautiful Superman Batman cover there. One of many I have by Jim Lee in the collection. But again, given how I love this series, it's the #1 issue. It's the variant cover for that. We picked this up for $2. And sorry, we picked this up for $1. We picked this up for $1, and that was it was kind of priced lower than half a book. I think maybe it was because there are issues with the book there. As you can see, there's some spine ticks and whatnot. I don't know if it was priced because of the condition, but yeah, it's like a VF copy. Got some color break, some spine stress lines there on the spine. But yeah, this was priced at $1, and I figured, yeah, for $1, we're not leaving this there. Especially with the cover art there, Jim Lee, Batman, Superman. That's just good stuff right there. So pick that up for $1. And then the last book here we picked up for $2, and this was discounted. It had been selling, I think, for maybe like $5 or something like that, and then they put a discount sticker on, which is also kind of what this one was. Um, so I got these both out of like as discounted books, and I don't know why this didn't sell. It is kind of like a detached cover situation. Um, Not fully detached, but it's like the spine. There's like big chunks missing in the spine. Um, part, yeah, it's like the spine parts of the spine are kind of split up. Like they're again, um, it's very close to being a detached cover because it's just hanging on by the last legs, and there's just big gaps in the spine there. So it's a low grade book, and as you can see, there's lots of issues, not just the spine, but with the edges of the book. There's some boxing there. But this, ladies and gents, is Adventure Comics 324. It's listed as the first appearance of Duplicate Boy, but it also is the first appearance of these characters here, Gas Girl, Evolvo Lad, and this is not the Beast Boy we know from the Teen Titans, but it is the first reference to a character called Beast Boy by the same name, but of course, uh, different in terms of its what we reference as Beast Boy. So it's not a Beast Boy per se, it's just the reference of the name that's the first being referenced here. Different characters. But yeah, it's a key book. It's a key book because it's also technically the first Legion of Super Outlaws. And again, first appearance of these characters here, but also of Duplicate Boy. So, key issue that we just got for $2. So $2 on a Silver Age key. Yes, it's beat up and all that, but I thought, yeah, given what this book is, I don't mind. Um, I think it's obviously $2 is, in my opinion, um, less than what it's probably its true value is. Uh, but I guess it's all depends on how you look at the condition and all that. But yeah, I think a low grade on this books at $7. So that's what kind of the how we decided whether this was worth picking up or not. Now, I'm trying to resist picking up more of adventure comics, uh, but I don't know. When you have Superboy on the cover like this, and then all the fun Legionnaire heroes and in this case anti-heroes, it's kind of fun to pick these up just for again the period and how eccentric this whole concept of the future heroes, right? These are just like uh, the Legionnaires are essentially a product of Superboy and Superman fandom, right? So it's like Superman and Superboy are so famous in the future that these like metahumans or these like superhero like teens, they just decide they're gonna follow suit. But the cool thing is they kind of have a knowledge of the past, so they're able to kind of like come to the past from time to time or prevent things. Like if they foresee things like that are happening, they'll come back and kind of influence the past and do all these things. These, uh, you know, basically things that would alter the course of like the future. They're just time meddling essentially. So it creates this interesting dynamic. Uh, yeah, like this cover just out it pretty much outlines what you wouldn't want to do. We members of the Legion of Super Outlaws warn you to not interfere with Superboy. right? He's like, they're coming back into the past to warn him about stuff they're gonna do, I guess, which is just uh, doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with this whole Legion of the Superheroes storyline. Again, kind of a cool run to read from time to time, but I want to say, like, if I broaden my you know Superman net too much, it just ends up being uh, too big of a haul. So I am collecting uh, issues from the Silver Age, and this is a pretty cool key issue. But in terms of like leveraging these adventure comics, if there's somebody out there collecting them, and I can maybe get them, trade them for equivalent like Superman or other runs I'm doing, I just figure I'll just pick them up and kind of manage either trades or sales or of something to the effect where I can um, leverage these for books that I'm targeting, or books that I want to add directly to my PC. So this isn't like a core PC book by any means, but at the same time, it is, I think, a cool book to have in any grade. So $2 for this. So all in all, again, 3 books for $5. Yeah, got a lot of value, I think, out of, considering, this is $15 by itself. This is probably like maybe a $5 book here. Um, and then this one's like a $7 book in this, well, maybe like $5 to $7 book in its current state. So yeah, all in all, 3 books that I don't mind adding, which is cool. And there you go. That's that. And we're going to kind of get into other, like, more comic book news kind of updates. And I want to start with an observation. I just feel like at the end of 2025, it's been a kind of a comeback year for comic book movies. And a lot of that has to do, I think, with the success of Superman. A lot of people are looking at the summer success of Superman, not just from the box office standpoint, but from the larger licensing success, right? You have a lot of people picking up like Superman books, Superman shirts, Superman, related uh, materials, toys and whatnot. And a lot of people, when it went on streaming and, like digital, you saw a lot of people watch it at that point, right? So a lot of people were kind of like waiting for its run to end in the theaters. And when it came straight to like digital and streaming, a lot of people watched it. In fact, more people watched it um, in the after its box office run than an actual theater run. And its theater run was, I think it was in the top 10 in terms of movie revenue this year. But of course, the post views through digital and whatnot far surpassed the box office run. So, this is kind of what's fueling the the bid for Warner Brothers, because you're taking a look at a IP like Superman, and you're seeing the potential for the DC universe to kind of have more content, successful content through streaming, through television, through animation, and don't forget the big one, through just a succession of movies, right? We've got Supergirl coming out. We've got Brave and the Bold. We've got a Wonder Woman movie in the mix. Not to mention a Green Lantern series that's probably gonna pick up with another Green Lantern movie at some point, and then a Justice League movie. So that's a lot of revenue there if you're just smart with the content marketing and continuing to build an ecosystem around the DCU, right? So this has put a lot of well, it's put Netflix on notice, right? They're like, well, okay, maybe we got to do something, make a move here, and they are looking to. They placed a bid to purchase Warner Brothers, and then of course Paramount has placed two successive bids, all cash bids, I think, that outvalue Netflix's bid. But it looks like the shareholders are still thinking the partnership between Netflix is the more strategic one. So even though Paramount's bid is higher in terms of the actual dollar bid, they see more value for the company moving forward with its strategic partnership with Netflix. To be honest, I kind of wish Warner Brothers were in a situation where they could just go it alone, because I think, you know, they had a really strong year cinematically, and with all the DCU stuff, I just don't see the reason why they need to be bought out. I figure there's some creditors out there that could just, you know what I mean, like get them the money they need, and then they just compete. They compete with Netflix and Paramount and just start slaying it year after year from this point on. So I know they're in a kind of in a fiscal crunch there with what's happened in the past, them having to spin off certain entities to and consolidate to really get to a point of profit again. But again, these things happen in cycles. So if they can just kind of weather that, address some of its debt, and then move forward, I think you're really looking at a company that could really turn its fortunes around. But we'll see. We have yet to see. And that's, as a crystal, there's a lot of risk there too. So I can understand why the shareholders are anxious and probably want to partner with these, larger institutions, kind of raise its value, raise its lessen its competitive risk, right? So yeah, a lot of sort of uncertainty with regards to Warner Brothers. But the one thing that's cool is, I think from an IP standpoint, from a DCU project standpoint, it's looking very bright and promising, which, again, I think coming back to my point, right at this juncture, as we close out 2025 and start 2026, I think it's a real, it's an ideal time to be a kind of a comic book nerd, or a fan, I should say, because you've got really a strong, healthy Marvel. You've got a strong, healthy DC, especially in the comic books. I think DC, the comic book side, is really, really strong, especially around all the absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman stuff. It's really driving a lot of popularity in the hobby. But you also have the DC Marvel crossovers, which are just generating a lot of interest. And we're just coming off the summer of Superman. So you got a lot of good Superman content that's just, we're kind of like just right in the thick of. And yeah, I think just DC's been really focused on um, understanding its demographic and catering to it, meaning we got a lot of comic book fans and they're just putting out um, quality work, you know. And I think that's where Jim Lee's played a really pivotal role. You're talking about a guy who's done comic books for his entire adult life, and essentially he understands, okay, this is what fans want, and I have a, a keen eye for talent, right? Because a lot of the artists there at DC, he helped cultivate. Um, so he just knows how to kind of rally the troops and say, okay, let's just have these like creator meetings and have everybody on the same page of where these things where they intersect and kind of create sort of a domino effect or cascading effect where we have these individual storylines, but at some point they intersect, we create events, and those events turn into larger um, it builds momentum towards something larger. Now they're doing that independent of all the DCU cinema stuff. But it works as a nice synergy, right? If things are being introduced cinematically and it's people are watching the movie, for example, Superman, right? Everybody loved Crypto, everybody loved Superman. And that's kind of fueling all the stuff that's coming out on the Superman title now, And so I imagine this will just continue to kind of be a synergy effect where you have stuff being introduced cinematically or just in kind of live action uh, content, and it fuels what's being produced in the comic books, and then what's being produced in the comic books is also going to tie into what they introduce or focus on in the movies as well. So again, um, kind of what we saw with Marvel, right, for many, many years, where movies, comic books kind of did the same thing there. I anticipate we're going to see that for DC. And then, in fact, we're seeing it more so now than in years past. But really, on the DC comic book side, it just seems like they don't really need the movies. It's like they're such a well-oiled machine with what they're doing in comic books right now. It's like, it almost doesn't matter what's happening in the movies. It's like they're forging their own path. And that's what's exciting. So from that standpoint, when you've got Doomsday and all these like Marvel movies that we're kind of waiting on coming out in the coming year and beyond, and then you've got Supergirl and all this potential wave of DC stuff coming out, and then you've got DC Marvel crossovers and comic books. You've got a very strong DC line. You've always had a strong Marvel line of content. It just feels like we're living in a golden age of comic books right now, where everything's clicking, and movies, television, animation, and of course the comic books themselves. It's just creating this like safe haven for old school people, new school people, just people who enjoy this medium, these characters, these stories. It's just providing and then of course social media has a big part in it too, right? Social media has created this sort of pop culture, you know, um, sort of pop culture club through our social networks, and so these things are amplified when you're in these like siloed something like a Superman movie or something like a Wonder Woman movie can really just bring fans together, and kind of break those silos down, right? It's like everybody's excited about Wonder Woman. Doesn't matter if you've never read Wonder Woman or if you've always been like I don't know, maybe you've always been um, Stranger Things fan or something, but something like that kind of comes along, grabs a lot of attention and hype. People latch on and jump on bandwagon and want to follow it, right? So we're seeing that now with like Supergirl, right? You just see all these, I think, younger women really kind of embrace and are excited about the upcoming Supergirl project. And so, these are the kinds of things that, again, bring us together and create uh, fandom and fervor around um, IPs that have always been there, but kind of revamped. And again, because of Superman, I think Superman's the first one, the first of the DC projects to kind of like um, communicate, hey, here's a great character. He's always been with us, but you've forgotten about him for a little while, right? But he's back. He's more exciting than ever. And the potential of what can spin off from his success is really exciting and kind of worth noting in sort of this, we're heading down a path there of like comic book movies are getting kind of stale and all that. Well, boom, here we have a set of stories that really haven't come to the fore because DC has never really been had success outside of the Batman movies, right? It's really never translated into a larger Justice League and DC Universe type success. But that's kind of where we're at. We have that to look forward to. We have a lot of Marvel projects that are culminating towards Secret Wars and Doomsday, right? Doomsday and Secret Wars. Um, so with regards to that, I just kind of want to like pause and just kind of take inventory of sort of what we have here. And I really want to start with some of the books that have been trending. These are books like in my collection that I haven't really pulled out in a while, but I do want to just kind of like, um, kind of like let you know that I have these in my collection. And let's just talk about the black suit. Everybody's kind of focusing on these books right now because of the Tom Holland Brand New Day stuff. Now we know it's been reported or rumored that Tom Holland will make his appearance in the black suit. So he's going to be venomized essentially. And where that leads, I would imagine it's going to lead here, right? It's going to lead right to Secret Wars. But how it fits in with Doomsday and all this other stuff, I mean, Doomsday is going to lead to Secret Wars. And so Brand New Day with the suit introduction, it's going to lead to Secret. I think all roads lead to Secret Wars. And in Secret Wars, we're going to see a black suit Spider-Man really, do his thing there in the black suit. And I don't know if Spider-Man is just going to have an integral part in the outcome, but it definitely is going to be compelling in the sense that, he's struggling with the suit, right? He's struggling with the symbiote and having to uh, kind of tackle the end of the timeline kind of scenario as well. So, yeah, I just want to kind of celebrate the fact that these are books. This is a book I got when I got back into collecting, but I did own this book originally. And this is my original copy from my collection. And yeah, I'm just happy to have. I got these graded early on when I got back into collecting, and they both came back 9.0s, newsstands, and very happy with these two black suit issues. And of course, there's a lot of. Let me just pull this down here. Quick minute here. Um, there's a lot of, obviously this is a hot book right now. This is the first official Marvel DC crossover. Really high grade copy I have here. I'm just really blessed to have traded for this. And yeah, incredible Ross Andrew cover here. But the first meeting between Superman and Spider-Man. So with all the black suit kind of, black suit comics trending, and with this DC crossover right now trending, we essentially got word there is going to be another Superman versus Spider-Man crossover title. In fact, I think the first books are out now. And of course, as part of the variant covers, they've launched Black Suit Spider-Man alongside Black Suit Superman. And it's just, I think it's just a variant cover, right? They haven't actually introduced it in story yet. Maybe they plan to at some point. But right now it's just kind of like fan service artwork, comic cover work. You got a lot of creators just, I think Jim Lee put one out too. It's basically, this original version on the 90s crack version of Black Suit Spider-Man next to Black Suit Superman. So this is the first appearance of the black suit, or the cover appearance, I should say, of the black suit, where you see it in full. And yeah, just kind of showing that off along with my black suit Spider-Man, along with crossover stuff. So I do want to pick up that Jim Lee black suit Superman and Spider-Man variant cover. I think that's a good thing to target if you're a fan. But yeah, like I said, it's a great time to be a comic book nerd, because you just got so many little idiosyncrasies happening in the hobby right now, both for new fans, old school fans like me. A lot of, anytime the two companies come together, anytime like DC Marvel come together, and they're promoting this this community of collectors, right? Comic book fans, because most people aren't just siloed in Marvel or siloed in DC, and you do have a lot of overlap. Case in point, I love comic books from both during my collecting era from both companies. And so, anytime these two companies come together and, collaborate and do these exciting things, it's a fun time. And then on top of that, you've got the movies and you've got all these things happening. It just really feels like, I'll just reiterate, it really feels like we're living in a golden age of comic book content here. And it's just been recent, it was like, even like post-pandemic, you kind of had just projects here and there like spiking. It wasn't like, it wasn't like a hobby-wide enthusiasm for books, but now it really feels like we're just at the peak for both DC Marvel content. And who knows, like I said, why couldn't we see a Superman and Spider-Man movie? Like who's to say that that won't happen? I mean, or like Justice League versus the Avengers, I think team type crossovers. I mean, that's well within the realm of possibilities at this point because this is so, this kind of content so dominates our pop culture, right? It so dominates the discourse you see online. It so dominates just our dollars, right? The fact that I'm spending all this money on comic cons and comic books and watching movies and doing all this stuff, right? So I'm just one of millions of people who kind of find their niche and collect it and enjoy it. So, yeah, and this has been ongoing for many, many years. Comic book content's never really died. I guess it just depends on how obsessed or how invested you are in it. And some of us are more invested than others, and some of us are less. But we're all tied to it in some form or fashion. So again, um, with some of the doomsday trailers that have been coming out, they just tease Cyclops's 90s blue uni. We know Steve Rogers is coming back. We know Thor, Chris Hemsworth is coming back. All the Fox X-Men are coming back. It just really feels like Marvel's having its last sort of hurrah with the previous cycle of movies, and now we have sort of a bigger future with the DC stuff, with all the sort of the younger stars kind of putting their stamp on some of these characters. So it's really exciting to see, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So I'm not going to spend too much time. Looks like no one's joining on this Friday. Ron and the company aren't here, but it's fine. Guys will probably watch on the rewind. I know it's Christmas weekend, so hopefully you guys are doing exciting things with your family and whatnot. But just to give you a preview, though, of what we are going to read for our next Otaku Reads, his comics, we are going to focus on this book right here, Superman 84. This is the oldest Superman book in my collection. That's the next book we're going to read in Otaku Reads his comics. So this is just sort of a preview of what's to come. And until that point, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. I'm thinking Sunday is where we're going to probably read the book. We'll see. But until that time, everybody have a great weekend. See you here in the next one. Peace out.